Picture this. You have finally found it. The quiet after a long, exhausting day. The heavy weight of work and the endless pressure of life simply fade away when they look at you. You are sitting across from someone who just listens. There is no judgment, no hidden agendas, no emotional manipulation, just a safe, steady presence, offering you the exact peace you have spent your whole life searching for. You should be completely happy. You should feel like you have finally arrived home. But deep down, in the quietest corners of your mind, you feel suffocated. Instead of sinking into their warmth, your hands instinctively want to push them away. A strange, heavy anxiety builds in your chest. Your mind starts scanning for flaws, desperate to pick a fight, searching for any excuse to just turn around and run. Why does this happen? Why is it that when we are finally face to face with pure, unconditional kindness, the loudest alarm bells start ringing in our heads? Why does a peaceful love sometimes feel so much more terrifying than a violent storm? When this urge to run away hits, society is quick to offer simple, almost comforting excuses. You might tell your friends, or even convince yourself, that the spark just faded. You say things like, "We are just not a good match," or maybe "they are just a little too boring for me." It is so easy to label yourself as someone who falls out of love quickly, or worse, to let others label you as cold, heartless, or emotionally unavailable. But let us pause for a moment and look beneath that surface. Pushing away a genuinely good person is rarely about them being boring, and it is almost never about you being a bad person. It is not malice. It is a profound, unconscious defense mechanism. Think of your mind as an ancient security system. For years, it might have been programmed to associate love with danger, inconsistency, or pain. So, when true safety finally arrives, that outdated system does not know how to process it. It misreads the calm. It perceives the absence of chaos as the quiet before a devastating storm. The kindness you are receiving feels so unfamiliar that your brain classifies it as a hidden trap. You are not rejecting love. You are just a survivor whose internal alarm is misfiring, mistaking a gentle breeze for a hurricane. To understand why this happens, we have to rewind the tape. We need to look back at the environments that shaped your very first definitions of love. For many of us, the blueprint of a relationship was drawn in a childhood home that was unpredictable, or perhaps in a past romance that left deep, invisible scars. Imagine growing up in a space where affection was never free. Maybe love was a transaction, something you had to earn by being perfectly obedient or endlessly useful. Perhaps it was mixed with harsh criticism, sudden outbursts of anger, or cold emotional withdrawal. In those formative years, your young mind drew a distorted love map. You learned early on that love is conditional. Love is volatile. Love is a game of survival, where you must always be on your guard, because the ground could crumble beneath your feet at any second. When you spend years living in that kind of emotional war zone, chaos stops being frightening. It becomes your baseline. It becomes the new normal. And there is a strange, twisted comfort in the familiar, even if it hurts. You learn how to navigate the storm. You know exactly what to do when someone yells, when they go silent, or when they threaten to leave. You have completely mastered the art of walking on eggshells. So, what happens when the storm finally passes and you step into a calm, safe environment? What happens when you meet someone who does not ask you to bleed just to earn their presence? You panic. The absence of chaos leaves a terrifying void. Your mind cannot comprehend a reality where you do not have to fight for your worth. The peace feels like a trap because, in your personal history, Quiet moments were just the prelude to the next disaster. To protect yourself from a pain you are absolutely certain is coming, you retreat into a heavy, impenetrable shell, pushing the good away before it has the chance to destroy you. Now, let us look at what happens when these childhood survival tactics carry over into your adult life. In the field of psychology, this pattern is often referred to as avoidant attachment. If you resonate with this attachment style, you might fundamentally believe that depending on someone else is a dangerous game. When a truly good, loving person tries to bridge the gap and step into your world, your immediate instinct is not to open the door, but to reinforce the locks. You experience a profound, almost paralyzing fear of losing your independence. To an avoidant mind, intimacy feels incredibly close to suffocation. It feels like a direct threat to your autonomy. You worry that if you let someone in too deep, they will either consume your identity, or worse, they will finally see all your hidden flaws and decide to leave. So, you establish rigid emotional boundaries, keeping even the kindest partners at a safe, heavily guarded distance, where they can never truly reach your core. But this reaction is not just a psychological mindset. It is a deeply physical response, rooted in the very biochemistry of your brain and your nervous system. Think about what an unstable or toxic relationship actually feels like. The constant, unpredictable highs and lows, the dramatic arguments, the silent treatments, followed by the desperate reconciliations. This endless emotional roller coaster forces your body to constantly pump out high levels of cortisol, which is the primary stress hormone. It keeps your entire system locked in a perpetual state of fight or flight. Over months or years, your brain actually becomes accustomed to, and even addicted to, this chaotic chemical cocktail. You subconsciously start associating that intense, agonizing rush of anxiety with the feeling of being in love. Then, the universe hands you someone safe, a person who offers pure stability, calm consistency, and genuine peace. Suddenly, the drama stops. The cortisol levels drop to a normal, healthy level, and your brain, which is starved of its usual chaotic fuel, gets completely confused. Because your nervous system has never been taught what healthy, secure love feels like, it misinterprets this calm, balanced state. It tells you that there is no chemistry. It tells you that the spark is missing. It convinces you that you must be falling out of love, simply because you are no longer terrified of losing them. Your body literally mistakes emotional safety for boredom. This biological false alarm leads directly to the most heartbreaking phase of this cycle, which is self-sabotage. Because your brain is constantly screaming that something is wrong with this peaceful picture, the anticipation of a sudden, inevitable betrayal becomes too much to bear. So, you decide to take the wheel. You desperately crave control over the outcome, even if that outcome is pain. Instead of living in the agonizing, breathless suspense of waiting for them to hurt you, you decide to strike first. You start picking fights over absolutely meaningless things. You pull away and turn cold when they reach out for connection. You magnify their smallest human flaws until they seem like unforgivable sins. You do everything in your power to dismantle the relationship with your own two hands. Why would you do this? Because if you are the one orchestrating the disaster, at least you are not the victim of it. You choose to break their heart, and in doing so, you break your own, all to ensure that you get to walk away before they ever have the chance to abandon you. This brings us to the most agonizing paradox of the human heart. Deep down, beneath the layers of defense mechanisms and thick emotional armor, you are practically starving to be truly seen. You desperately crave a love that is gentle. You want a partner who will hold you through your darkest moments without flinching, someone who stays when everyone else has left. Yet, the very moment someone actually shows up with the pure intent to love you exactly as you are, you begin constructing a fortress. You build the stone walls so incredibly high and make the moat so impossibly wide that no one, no matter how patient or kind they are, could ever hope to cross it. You are locking yourself inside a dark tower, throwing away the key, and then crying out in the dark because no one is coming to save you. And then comes the devastating quiet that follows the storm you created. You have successfully done it. You have pushed away the person who treated you better than anyone else ever has. They finally stopped trying. They packed up their love and walked away, just like you secretly feared they would. But instead of the relief your brain promised you, all that is left is an overwhelming, hollow emptiness. In the lonely hours of the night, the heavy weight of regret begins to settle in. And the most tragic part of this entire cycle is how your mind twists this loss into a weapon against yourself. You look at the wreckage of a beautiful relationship and whisper to yourself, "See, I knew it would never work. I knew I was too broken." You take the heartbreak you orchestrated and use it as absolute proof to reinforce the most painful lie of all. The lie that you are fundamentally, permanently unlovable. If you find yourself nodding along to this, realizing that you are the one who constantly pushes love away to protect yourself, you might be wondering about the other side of the spectrum. What about the people who do the exact opposite? What about those who cling so tightly to a relationship that it becomes suffocating, desperately holding on to their partner even when the connection is clearly falling apart? In the world of psychology, while the instinct to run is tied to avoidant attachment, this desperate need to hold on is known as anxious attachment. On the surface, these two reactions look like complete opposites. One person builds an impenetrable fortress and runs for the hills the moment things get close. The other person relentlessly chases, constantly seeking reassurance, and absolutely refuses to let go. But here is the most surprising and heartbreaking truth. If you strip away the external behaviors, beneath the running and beneath the clinging, you will find the exact same wound. Both the runner and the chaser are fundamentally terrified of the exact same outcome. They are both paralyzed by a profound, agonizing fear of abandonment. The anxious person clings because they are terrified you will leave them. The avoidant person leaves first because they are terrified you will leave them. They are two entirely different survival strategies, but at their core, both people are fighting the exact same ghost. So, if you are the one who constantly runs, please hear this. Pushing people away does not make you a villain. It does not mean you are broken beyond repair, and it certainly does not mean you are incapable of love. It simply means that, for a very long time, you had to survive a painful battlefield entirely on your own. Your armor is heavy because, at one point in your life, it had to be. But here is the most beautiful truth about the human mind. The exact same nervous system that learned to expect chaos can be gently, patiently retaught to accept peace. You can rewire your brain to understand that calm does not equal danger. You can learn that you do not have to constantly fight for your right to be loved, and that it is safe to finally put down your shield. It takes time, and it takes immense courage, but healing is absolutely possible. Have you ever found yourself pushing away a good person because you felt overwhelmed? Or perhaps you were the one who was pushed away. We would love to read your story. Please share your experience in the comments below. And remember, you are never alone in this.